Welcome to the podcast of MotorWeek, television's original automotive magazine. MotorWeek is made possible by Cars.com, Valvoline, and Goodyear. Here's your MotorWeek podcast host, John Davis.
Welcome, everyone, to our MotorWeek podcast number 6, and I'm joined today by Dave Durso.
Hello there.
And Brian Robinson.
Hello.
And Ben Davis.
Hello.
All from our MotorWeek staff. And so over the next 15 or 20 minutes, we're going to get into some of the latest vehicles that we've been testing here at MotorWeek. And Dave, I'm going to start with you. The 2009 Ford Mustang glass roof, kind of the last hurrah for the current Mustang. What do you think?
A pretty interesting one because basically they've given a full-length glass panel on the roof of the Mustang. It's an option that's available on pretty much any Mustang you can buy. So you have a V6 model, you've got a V8 GT, you can get that. And it's pretty interesting. It's a $2,000 option, and it's basically, I mean, it's sort of the ultimate open air without the actual air part.
So this is an option that up to now we've seen on Porsches, Ferraris, but not really on a mass-produced vehicle,
especially not a mass-produced American vehicle. So it gives it a very different look. I mean, it does give. I mean, it's still a Mustang, I mean, without a doubt, but it gives a little bit more of a European flair to the roof line.
Now, everybody's going to say, well, what about when the sun shines? I mean, there is some kind of a shade, right?
Oh, yeah. Yes, there is. There's retractable shade. And you've got full sun protection. And
I remember looking at the Ford literature, they said something like the tint on the glass cuts, I guess, air conditioning need by about 25%. Of course, they don't say to what, but I'm assuming to an untinted glass roof.
Yes.
What about rigidity? Did you notice any change there?
You know, when you look at it, you think this thing's going to be like a convertible. It's going to be there's going to be some twist and all, but once you actually get in it and drive it, it's not there. I mean, it's a solid car. It feels like the coupe. It really does. You're not getting any kind of serious flex of any sort. I mean, it feels like a coupe. It handles like the coupe. I mean, so they did their engineering homework on this one.
What about the current Mustang, the outgoing 09? As far as the rest of the car, is it, we hear people saying, hey, it's getting a little dated on the interior and all. What was your impression as far as the rest of the car?
No, I don't subscribe to the idea that it's all getting all that dated, considering it's a retro design to begin with. So, I mean, I really pretty much like it the way it is. I don't think it's really getting that far out. Now, obviously, there's going to be some updates for the 2010 model, and they are changing things. But like I said, I'm pretty comfortable with the way it looks. It's
still one of the best looking cars out there as far as being a head turning coupe that certainly doesn't cost a king's ransom. And my impression of the glass roof was a pretty nice, nifty new option.
Yeah, it's a fun idea, and I think a lot of people are going to like it. And it's simpler than a regular moonroof. You're
certainly
not losing
more watertight too.
Absolutely, you're not losing headroom like you would with any kind of moonroof mechanisms. So some people like that. So it's a nice kind of nice compromise for people that want a little sunshine but don't necessarily want anything else that goes with the regular designs,
or don't want to make the jump, which is even more expensive, to a full convertible, and then you have body flex problems and all that.
You've got all of that, and this avoids everything.
There was, in some of the Ford literature, I noticed as a rationale for doing this, they said that 2/3 of all sporty car buyers want some kind of an open-air experience, convertible, moon, sunroof, something. So
this gives you pretty much like 90% of that.
Okay, let's move on now to kind of a new age vehicle. Brian Robinson, you have come back from Germany after having driven the first of the new clean diesels from BMW. So kind of give us an update.
Yeah, that's right. 335D will be the first 50-state legal BMW diesel. It's a 3-liter inline-six, 265 horse. It's a little bit less than the 335i, obviously, but it's a lot torquier, 6-speed automatic. It does have the blue performance technology similar to Mercedes.
Which means that you've got to put the urea fluid in it.
Right. Supposedly that lasts 15,000 miles between service intervals, so you shouldn't have to touch it. But I think it is becoming more and more available in the market. So
my understanding of that fluid, you can actually buy it at most auto parts, auto parts stores now.
Fuel economy is 23.36, and that puts it over a 500-mile range, which to me, that's what I like about it, is longer range. You know, I hate stopping at the gas station. You can go on long trips. Price premium, depending on how it's configured, it's going to be about $2,000 more than a 335i.
So $2,000 more for 30% better fuel economy. Then you've got to factor in the fact that diesel costs more. So it may be almost a wash as far as how much money you spend, but that's not the only reason for looking at it, is it?
Yeah, like I said, the range is a big benefit for people. Also, they mentioned that it's cheaper to develop, and then also the price premium is cheaper than a hybrid. So I'm not sure that if that means anything to many people, but it's definitely a smoother running diesel, typical European diesel, and it's like new generation as far as that's concerned. Most people probably would never even know it's a diesel.
It doesn't make a lot of noise.
No, there's a little bit at startup, but inside the car, there's no indication at all.
And if you looked at the exhaust pipe, you barely would know it was a diesel.
Correct.
Yeah, if you haven't experienced a new clean diesel, especially one of the new European clean diesels, they're very quiet. They're extremely torquey, and that is after all the real measure of initial acceleration. And the tailpipes look as clean as a gasoline power car. As a matter of fact, the new clean diesels are statistically as clean as a gasoline power car. That's the whole point.
The big problem is going to be the price. Looking at mid-40s. So
yeah, a
lot of people are wondering why they're not bringing out. They have a lot smaller diesel engines in the 3 Series. Why they aren't bringing those here, but they won't meet emissions. They just can't do it.
And also, the BMW does have a certain reputation it upholds as far as performance. The 3 Series is a very popular sedan, their most popular model. They don't want to bring out a dog, essentially, and because they've basically, when they were doing some of their 4-cylinder cars, that was the big problem, is they just didn't live up to that BMW image. But 36 miles per gallon, that's about a 30% improvement over what a typical gas-powered 3 Series.
It drives like a typical 3 Series. It's fun to drive.
Would you buy one over a gas-powered if the money wasn't a factor?
I would certainly consider it. I don't know that I would pull the trigger or not, but just based on the price alone. But if you've got the money, if money wasn't an option, I would certainly buy it.
Okay, let's move on now to our third car, and Ben Davis, Infiniti G37x. This is not an absolutely new car, but it is a new addition to a very good car.
That's for sure. I've been a G Coupe fan for quite a while, and if anything could be improved, here you go, all-wheel drive. Now, I was going through the cone course, and it's always been fun with the two-wheel drive, trying to get a little oversteer here and there, but with this all-wheel drive system, you can just go for it and put all your talent outside the door because you don't need it anymore. You can go in late, come out of turns early, just pour on the power, and the thing is completely forgiving. It just makes you feel like a pro.
Now, historically, when you take any kind of a front or rear-wheel drive car, and this is inherently a rear-drive car to start with, and you add all-wheel drive, you usually induce some unfavorable characteristics, like a little bit of understeer, push. Was that did you notice it?
I didn't notice it at all, no. This system favors the rear 100% until you need front wheel, and then it'll throw power towards the front up to 50%. So you don't get any kind of low-speed parking lot grind or anything like that you normally find in all-wheel drive cars.
Now, we picked the G37 Coupe last in 2008 as our Driver's Choice Best Sport Coupe of the Year. So this looks like just another reason to consider that car.
It just keeps getting better.
Yeah, the G Series, both sedan and coupe, has been remarkable in how it has come up to give a lot of competition to the 3 Series BMW in only 2 generations. And I understand the larger engine is now going to be in the sedan as well.
That's true. Yeah, a little less horsepower than the coupe, but nevertheless, it is there. 7-speed automatic in the coupe too. You can't go for the 6-speed manual.
Did you? Yeah, that's
with the all-wheel drive.
With the all-wheel drive, that raises an interesting question. There's a lot of debate in our journalistic community about how many gears are too many gears. I know that some magazines even think 6 is too many. I think we kind of like 6 because it gives you a lot of flexibility and you get better fuel economy, et cetera, et cetera. What's your impression, 5, 6, or 7? Did the 7 gears make that much difference?
I was a little leery going into a 7-speed automatic, thinking that it was too many gears, but it shifts real fast, real smooth, and you're never hunting for a gear. They really did their homework on this one. So as far as Infiniti's 7-speed automatic is concerned, I say give me 8 or 9 as long as they're designing it.
Well, the whole idea behind these 6, 7 speed automatics was to get you out of the low gears, which are the most inefficient and pollute the most, and get you in the higher gears quicker as possible.
It all depends on how they're configured, too. You've driven some where, they're in a super hurry to get you up into a high gear, and it almost seems to work opposite the way it should work. But some of them, if they're configured nice, it's an automatic anyway. You're not shifting. It doesn't really matter how many are there,
as long as it's smooth.
Yeah, I think the Lexus ISF has got 8.
Yeah, there's a lot of Honda has been a company that has not embraced even the 6-speed. And for a company known for their technology and for their fuel economy, that's kind of interesting because they seem to be trailing in transmission technology. Nowadays, if you don't see a 6-speed automatic in a car, you think it's old-fashioned.
Yeah, it's almost cheating, just slap another gear on there.
Yeah, it's not a big.
Honda's always been a conservative company, though, and they managed to get the most out of very little. I mean, they're people who write their software and all. They really know what they're doing, and they do seem to always pull it off, even if it looks like they're a little behind the curve there.
Yeah, but that concerns me because looking a little behind the curve is what happened to the domestic automakers for so long when it didn't look like they had the technology to keep up. And so a lot of it is in appearances, but it does have an effect on the marketplace. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us for our MotorWeek podcast number 6. I want to thank our audio engineer, Jim Bigwood, for making sure we come through loud and clear, our podcast creator, Bob Mixter, and our producer, Michelle Parker, who gets us all in here on time and puts everything together. Thanks to Dave Durso, Brian Robinson, and Ben Davis. I'm John Davis, and we'll listen here for the next MotorWeek podcast.
You have been listening to the podcast of MotorWeek, television's original automotive magazine. MotorWeek is made possible by Cars.com, Valvoline, and Goodyear. For additional information on podcasts, videos, and showtimes, visit our website at motorweek.org. And watch MotorWeek, television's longest-running automotive magazine series each week on your local PBS station.